Hello guys and welcome back to Not So Simple History, and today we are talking about the French Revolution. Now when most people think about the French Revolution, they think about guillotines, but it's actually much more than that, and the guillotine was actually introduced halfway through the revolution in 1792.
Now most people probably won't know about this, but the French Revolution was caused from food shortages from financial crisis. This was due to the current king, King Louis XVI, fighting the costly American Revolution and then trying to get money in return when America got independence. The king was desperate for help and called for the Estates General, which wasn't called prior for 175 years. There was the first estate made up of the clergy, and the second estate the nobility. Last but not least, the third estate, which was made up of everyone else. The third estate was 98% of France's population. They were being heavily taxed while the other two estates were partying carefree.
In June of 1789, the States General was summoned, and the question was asked, how do we get out of debt? Each state had one vote, and so when tax in the third estate was proposed, the first and second estate always won, even though they only made up 2% of the population. The third estate decided to have their own meeting, but they were locked out of their building, so they crowded into an indoor tennis court to vow that they would always congregate until the monarch was over. This was called the tennis court oath. In Breton's theory, this would be called the incubation phase. In July, there was the storm in a Bastille, a medieval armory, fortress, and political prison in the center of Paris. Even though the prison only contained about 7 people at the time, it was seen by the revolutionaries as a symbol of the monarchy's abuse of power.
In October, there was a women's march in Versailles due to bread shortages. The women managed to enter the castle and demand King Louis to come live in Paris, which he actually did. But they didn't stay for long. In 1791, King Louis, Marie Antoinette, and their kids attempted to escape to Varennes. But of course they were caught. I mean, how can you not tell who they are when they're wearing such nice clothing?
The king's power was demoted to just a figurehead. The Jacobin Club, however, wanted nothing to do with the king. The radicals staged a protest to remove Louis XVI entirely. The military was sent to disperse the crowd, but the protest escalated and resulted in the guards firing. This was a massacre. There was now a huge division of revolutionaries. One side wanted the king and the other didn't. The Legislative Assembly was fearing the surrounding countries would attack them because of revolution ideas spreading. They decided to attack them first. They declared war with Austria in 1792 and instantly got destroyed.
We fear that other countries will attack us, so we'll attack them first.
Brunswick sent a letter to the revolutionaries warning them that if anything happens to the king, they would burn Paris to the ground. This had the unexpected outcome that inspired the revolutionaries to do the exact opposite. King Louis took refuge in the Legislative Assembly, and they took a vote to execute the king. In January of 1793, King Louis XVI was executed because the revolutionaries thought that the French Revolution could only continue with him dead. Marie Antoinette would soon follow in October of the same year. This was the end of a monarchy, but the start of a series of horrible rulers. The Legislative Assembly put democracy and equality behind fear, paranoia, and a thirst for blood. The churches were changed to temples of reason, and the calendar was different. However, with wars and laws that people did not want, the moderates were seized, and Robespierre and his radicals took power. Robespierre was infamous for the reign of terror that killed 17,000 people. Everyone was fed up with him, and Robespierre was the final victim of the guillotine. Fear was everywhere, and anyone against the revolution was guillotined, and over 40,000 people were killed during the Reign of Terror. The revolution was a crisis stage now, and the power was held by the Legislative Assembly.
So, who was in charge next? Well, it was Napoleon Bonaparte himself. Napoleon Bonaparte was an army general that massively succeeded in wars. He grew liking from taking care of protest. He claimed himself as Emperor of France. The French Revolution later resulted in the creation of the Charter of Rights of Men, the birth of republic and economic reform. Through the many leaders, the French Revolution played a huge role in modern-day France.
Thank you for watching!